Buonasera a tutti, good evening and welcome to the Italian Radio Hour. Io sono Viviana and I would like to welcome back our regular listeners and also welcome any new listeners. Also be sure to like us on Instagram and Facebook at Italian Radio Hour and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch up on any past video interviews. Vorrei dare il benvenuto ai nostri ascoltatori da tutto il mondo, grazie per essere con noi anche oggi mentre continuiamo il nostro viaggio per l'Italia e la cultura italiana. Today, I'm especially excited to welcome someone that not only I admire for her work, but also know personally, Mary Menniti. She is the founder of the Italian Garden Project. Mary has made it her mission to celebrate and preserve the traditions of Italian American backyard gardening, where food, family, and culture are all deeply rooted in the soil. Through her work, she has documented countless gardens, shared stories that connected generations, and inspired many to rediscover the joy of growing their own food. She's also the mastermind behind Pittsburgh beloved Fig Fest, a delicious celebration of one of Italy's most treasured fruits. Today we'll talk about Mary's background, how this beautiful project began, how it has blossomed, and what's next, along with a few memories from her own Italian-American upbringing. So we'll give you also details on the upcoming Fig Fest in Pittsburgh, so stay tuned, pick a fig or two, and be right back. Parli italiano? Do you want to learn, improve, or master your Italian? Istituto Mondo Italiano can help. Located in the heart of Regent Square, Mondo Italiano offers small group classes and one-on-one private tutoring, in person or online, to help you learn Italian in no time. Visit us online at istitutomondoitaliano.org. Welcome, Becca. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Viviana. We're both fresh back from Italy, happily.
Last time we saw each other was actually on the way to Italy. I think that was around Christmas time. Now we have done our summer travels, which we'll share with our audience. But before we go into that, as I said in the introduction, I've known you, Mary, for a while, and today Facebook actually reminded me. I think it was 2011. At Penguin's bookstore in Sewickley that you did a wonderful presentation on your project that captivated me right away. But for those of that might know you yet, hard to believe, can you share a little bit about your background and where your Italian roots are from?
Yes, I've been doing this project, the Italian Garden Project, now for many years, over a decade. Yeah, in 2011, when we met in Sewickley, that was really at the beginning of the project, when I lived in the Sewickley area and got to know the Italian American community. And in the Italian American community in Sewickley, there were a lot of post-World War II immigrants. And I really didn't know that world until I moved there. I only knew the first wave of immigrants, all of my grandparents, my grandfather and grandmother on my mother's side had come from Torino area in a little town called Masio outside of Torino. And they had a garden and they lived the whole Italian lifestyle. So on my mother's side and my father's side, my grandfather, my paternal grandmother came from Molise, Agnone, and her family was all from there. And then my paternal grandfather was from Sant'Angelo d'Alife in Campania. And he really was the gardener that I remember and who really inspired this project. So, I grew up with him, tagged along with him in the garden, just loved being with him. I thought he was the wisest, most wonderful man ever. And I think he actually always, even now, I still think that because of all the things he knew about growing things and about caring for his fig tree and all the things that he taught me. But his generation, I wasn't paying enough attention when his generation was, when he was around and that whole generation was around. I wish I was, but I wasn't. I was young and doing my own thing. But then when I moved to Sewickley and then started getting to know the Italian American community there, I realized they were so much like my grandfather. And here I had a chance to learn from them like I didn't from him. And that's really how the whole project started.
So prior to the Italian Garden project, were you involved in, I don't know, corporate life or anything else that was maybe not linked to the Italian Garden project?
Right. I mean, I grew up immersed in Italian culture, but then went away to college to Duquesne. I got a undergraduate and graduate degree in psychology, and I went on to become a therapist, a psychotherapist for a while, and then married and had my family, and a mother of three wonderful young adult daughters now. And yeah, that's really my background. But then I started to just want to be more involved in Italian culture. You know, I had gotten away from it. My grandparents were gone. I was raising my kids and really wanted to get closer to Italian culture. And really, that's where this project came from.
So tell us a little bit about, how you approached. Sewickley is a very nice neighborhood of Pittsburgh for people that are not familiar with it. Um, and how did you approach these gardeners? Did you find them right open to say, "Come on, Mary, let's go in the orto and shared," or they say, "Who are you? Why do you want to find out?" Because sometimes you find something that's so special um, of things that were ordinary to them. So they must have questioned, what is your interest? And so tell us a little bit how you had to approach yourself so that they said, I'm coming here with a lot of curiosity, right?
Right, right. Well, they would know. I got to know them. I didn't have a garden of my own. Before that, I lived in an area. I had my own vegetable garden, but when I moved to Sewickley, I had a lot of shade. I didn't have enough sun for a great vegetable garden, and I was busy with little kids. And so I would hang out in their gardens any chance I had. Any chance I had to go with my friend Thomasina or Maria, and I would just want to be in those gardens because they reminded me so much of growing up and being with my grandfather again. So I would hang out with them, and I was always sort of pestering them with questions. How do you do this? When do you plant that? And they saw, though, that I had a genuine interest. So I think they understood my interest. But then I would then want to bring my friends there. And because there were these incredible gardens, this whole lifestyle in this, this little village of Sewickley, a little suburban area. And people had no idea what was going on in these yards and in these basements and where there would be wine making and sausage making and drying vegetables. And so I would always want to bring my friends, and my friends would be amazed. So we decided, I was on the programming committee for Fern Hollow Nature Center, which is the local environmental center there. And we were trying to think of fundraising ideas. So I suggested, well, why don't we give little tours of these Italian gardens in Sewickley? Nobody really thinks of Sewickley as Italian American, but there's a wonderful, strong community there that lives very close. So I started giving tours, bringing people into these gardens, and that really made some of the gardeners wonder, what do these people want to see my garden for? It's just, that's what everybody does, right? Everybody has an incredible garden. And it was so natural for them to have these gardens and that way of life. But for others, it was so incredible. So yeah, they would sometimes question, why do all these people want to see these gardens? But the tour goers just loved every minute of it. The grape arbors, the fig trees, And actually, at the end of the tour, in the evening, it was hard to get people to leave and go home again. They wanted to hang out because I would serve limoncello and let them be in those gardens. Some of them hadn't been in a garden like that since they were children.
Yes, and those vegetable gardens are indeed it's a place not only where you grow specific vegetables, you're growing values, you're growing or you learn values that you can share um, also with the future generation, patience, reliability, that you can't take time off necessarily if those plants need to be tended. So I know that you have met a lot of great families that are still part of your family. It's like your extended family. Is there anyone in particular that you would like to share the story of?
Oh, like you said,
I
there's
know there are so
so
many.
many.
Yes,
It's
yes.
it's so
Maybe the family
it's
also that I got a pleasure to meet while with you in Sewickla. I'm going to try to see if I can find some pictures while you share
oh, okay.
about the background. Hmm.
Yeah, well, the Macchione family, and so many of them. That's what's the wonderful but difficult part of the project. So many of these families I got to know so very well and spent so much time with them. And then, but they were older gardeners, and this couple. Both of them have passed since, but they were so dear to me, and they allowed me and the Village Garden Club of Sewickley come to their house over a whole gardening season, almost weekly, to document their garden. And that's Maria and Giovanni Macchioni. That's probably the family you remember, Viviana.
Hmm.
And they just were so wonderful, so generous, generous with their time and their wisdom, and allowed us to photograph and video. And eventually, those visits turned into a documentation that was submitted to the Smithsonian's Archive of American Gardens, and it became the first digital submission of an Italian American garden for the Smithsonian. So I'm really proud of that. That time that we spent with them, it was just an incredible experience. Oh, there they are.
And do you
Yes.
believe I still walk every
I
time I'm in Sewickly, although it's not my closest neighborhood, I still go and see the house to see what fruit trees might be still there because it has changed ownership since then. But I still
exact
remember those hands and that hug.
Oh, I love that. I love that you have those pictures. Yeah, that was such a classic. That was such a classic garden. There were the fruit trees, the fig trees, two big garden areas with every Italian vegetable you can imagine. And they grew up in that lifestyle. They're from Falerna in Calabria, in
Calabria.
the
Mhm.
province of Catanzaro. And Maria would just sit with me and tell me stories about how her mother used to plant the flax seed, and then they would harvest the flax, and then they would pound it, and she would tell me about this little contraption that they would pound the this not a grain, but this flax
Yes. Mhm.
fiber plant, and turn it into the threads that they would then take to the woman in the village, who would weave them into the cloth
Ah.
they would then use for their pillowcases and sheets, and they would embroider for their hope chest. But
Mhm.
she just had incredible stories. It was like I always felt it was like talking to the past. When do
Mhm.
we have a chance to speak with people who have lived that lifestyle closer to 1,000 years ago than our lifestyle today? So yeah, it was a privilege every time I went into
And I
that
think
garden, and every garden I go
Yeah,
into.
and I think there is a part of us right now that is craving to go back to that type of not necessarily a lazy slowness, but kind of we are always in motion, we're always doing things, but are those things as meaningful as taking a little easier and go along with nature? And I think that's also the big draw not only of the gardens, but when people go to and visit Italy, they kind of label it as la dolce vita, but it's not a doing nothing. It is a purposely kind of taking it slow or taking a little slower. So there are indeed a lot of lessons to be learned in addition to all the tricks that I'm sure you learned from
Exactly,
master
exactly.
gardeners.
That's what I found. There's not only there's so much to learn. And at first I thought it was about the techniques. I would learn, how to
Prune
save
or maybe.
seeds and, all the gardening techniques. But then I saw that this is a way of life that is actually so good for our well-being, and I was curious, about what is it about being connected to the earth like that? What is it about being connected to your food? What is it about creating something tangible, planting a seed and growing it instead of, this digital world we live in? What is it that makes that lifestyle so conducive to well-being, to peace and just to help and mental health? I mean, and
Mhm.
that's really a big part of what I'm studying now, is how that
The
lifestyle
effect.
is so
Yeah.
good
Mhm.
for us in so many ways.
Yeah, even because I mean there are obvious health benefits to having the probably the most organic way of growing your food, and in a certain way without putting it. But they were revolutionaries because all the fruits and vegetables had their seeds, and you made certain foods based on nature. So here you can find blueberries 12 months a year. And most of the times they're going to be tasteless, but because we demand that. And the older generation say, I'm not going to make that Parmigiana unless it is time that the eggplants are coming out and they're having certain.
And then it's at the peak of flavor and peak of exactly. I was just in Italy, and I was looking for broccoli. Well, there was broccoli nowhere to be found at this time of the year. The peak of
Uh-huh.
the tomato and eggplant season. Like, what was I thinking? It just
Yeah.
wasn't the time of year. They eat with the seasons. Then it's just it's a whole different way of thinking about food, and
Hmm. Yeah.
much healthier.
So from your beginning, and maybe your expectations of what this garden project initiative was going to be about or like, or the number of people that you have connected with, both on the gardening side and us recipient of you sharing these stories, to where you're at. Tell us, because you mentioned the Smithsonian. There is a lot of work that you have done, Mary. Tell us.
Yes, it's over the years. The project just keeps growing because it's driven both by my passion for this work, the passion for the people that I visit, but also how much there is to learn from them before that generation is gone, just like my grandfather's generation. And remember, these are post World War II folks who were either born during or just after the war, or were children during the war. And that they have so much knowledge, and they have there's their seeds, the seeds that they brought from Italy decades ago, that are being are sort of disappearing or being lost after they pass. The fig trees that they brought, and those are our heirlooms. Those are the heirlooms of Italian culture. And so I began to see that not only is the photography, the videography, all of that of the actual gardens, but the actual seeds and plants that they brought need to be preserved as well. And the project just keeps growing because there's such a need to capture all this knowledge and these tangible products of that heritage before it's lost. So yeah.
So have you started or you compiling a database that you're adding all this information that eventually might become available to the general public?
Right. So I have my website that sort of is just, I use as sort of just a window into the larger body of work that I'm doing. Yeah, and the whole archive, hopefully one day will be maybe submitted to like our Heinz History Center Italian collection so that people, researchers and the general public can have access. But I try to get as much of it out to the public as I can with through the website. I give a lot of talks around the country. I'm hopefully working on a book soon. I have the manuscript for a book about this whole world. But so ways to get it out. And another way I like to try to get it out is with events like we were talking about, and which you were helping me partner with, Fig Fest. So really, Fig Fest for me is a celebration of this lifestyle. I call it the true Italian festa, where we're really have the Italians who I document. They're there and they are teaching things like curing olives, like old school winemaking, because these are our role models, and I want them to, a light shown on them so that people see like how amazing they are and how much skill they have. So the festa really is about focusing on them and the traditions they brought with them and the skills that they have.
Mhm.
And uh, and there's people
So
like
let's
you that help out
yeah.
to do wonderful things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll share all the details. We're gonna go into a quick commercial break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Applying for Italian citizenship? Need documents translation? Istituto Mondo Italiano provides certified translations and assistance services. Be sure to visit us at istitutomondoitaliano.org and schedule your free consultation. Un caffè, per favore. My first cup of coffee sets the tone for my entire day, and I get my coffee at La Prima Espresso. La Prima has been brewing Pittsburgh's best coffee for over 35 years. Try any of their in-house roasted varieties of beans from all over the world at home, or come and enjoy an espresso or a cappuccino at any of their locations, with their friendly baristas and familiar faces who will make you feel at home. Visit laprima.com to get La Prima Espresso coffee at your door. We're back with Mary Menniti from the Italian Garden Project. We are actually going to give you more details about the upcoming Fig Fest in September. So I will be sharing the flyer shortly. But before we go back into the Fig Fest, it is, maybe you have studied, maybe you have the answer, maybe you don't have the answer. What is the fascination with fig trees? I mean, it could have been another fruit, but it's they have settled on fig trees. So, have you ever asked anyone, or have you made your own assumptions why it's all about the figs?
Right, right. Yeah. Well, the fig really, I found it just to be really symbolic of this whole lifestyle. This Mediterranean fruit that was brought here and somehow was able to survive in this, not in a less hospitable climate of the Northeast, but it's because of the skill and knowledge of the earth that these folks brought with them, that they were able to, find ways to have this warm climate loving fruit survive. So it really is symbolic. I always say it adapts. The fig is a very adaptable fruit tree, and it adapts and thrives just like the immigrants that brought it. So it's a symbol of who they are and why we focus on it for Fig Fest. But also, I didn't really understand until I interviewed so many people, and especially one woman, Fenice Mercurio, who you'll meet at Fig Fest. She really helped me to understand that the fig for them, it wasn't just, I'm going to bring, this delicious fruit, so I don't want to miss it. But for them, figs meant survival.
Mhm.
Figs,
Right.
during World War II, some of them say, a dried fig was all some families had to eat.
Mhm.
Figs provided food in the, all through the year. Two crops in the summer of fresh figs, and then you could dry them and have them all winter. And so when they came to the US, they wanted to be, the Italians, like so many other cultures, wanted to be self-sufficient. And they thought, well, if we can grow our own food, and, we can provide for ourselves, then we can thrive in this country. So the fig really, when they brought it, yes, they wanted it, this wonderful taste of home, but it was also a way to be independent and self-sufficient and know that no matter what, they could rely on the fig for sustenance.
Yes, we have a house by the seaside and we do have a fig tree. And for us, it was obviously being a tree from the Mediterranean, you can find it also wonderful fig trees in Turkey and in Greece and so forth. And also on this current trip, as many trips before, if I'm walking around and there is a ripe fig and doesn't belong to anyone's property, that is going to be my lunch. So
Exactly.
we were in this archaeological site that we kind of we were touring, and in the middle of it, there was these humongous fig trees of a type of fig I've never seen before. It was also it was in the shape of a teardrop. And obviously, there you have all the guides and everyone checking that no one is walking on the mosaics and so forth. So I had to take all the way, the long way around this fig tree, and I just couldn't resist the temptation. And they were the most delicious figs. And the guide was just laughing. It was, it's a tree in the middle of nowhere, but, and then all the other tourists from the other countries, because I could hear it's like they came and I said, "What is a fig tree? You can have it." So going back to the house by the seaside, my dad attended to the garden in a very meticulous way. He was a doctor. Anything that he did with precision. The way that he has braided the branches over the years and connected and put in this rope and that rope and that rope, it is like it's
You'll
out of
have to
this world.
photograph that for me.
Out of
I
this
would
world.
love to see
So,
that.
and then also with my nephews, we were saying that we would go to pick up light bulbs because for me to teach them how to, it's like think about twisting a little light bulb and then you pull it out.
Exactly.
So
The
it became
technique.
the code is like, let's go and get some light bulbs, which was let's go and pick up the figs.
Yeah. Lucky you. Lucky you to grow up with figs.
Yeah, so actually let me pull out the flyer so that we can talk a little bit about the festivities, the when and where, and what people there are going to be a lot of returning people, but also new festival goers. So start telling people what to
Sure.
expect. And so here it
Oh,
is
you got the
coming
flyer?
up.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Yeah. So this will be our fourth Fig Fest in Pittsburgh. And this year it's at a different site than we've had it in the past. This year it's at Robin Hill Park in Moon Township, which is a beautiful, beautiful park. And just lovely with lovely grounds, but also what's great is if we do have a rainy day, we can take the festa inside with a
Mhm.
beautiful mansion there that we can move inside and continue our festa as though there's not a problem. But it's yeah, you can find all this information on my website, theitaliangardenproject.com, and I'm sure Viviana will have information available as well. But
Mhm.
I use it as our main fundraiser of the year, so it will support all the work that I'm doing with garden documentation and fig tree preservation and seed preservation. So I would love for everyone to come out and support the work, but also have a great time. We have live music. We have Paul Calise with his wonderful strolling accordion, and we'll have Allegro dance group. They'll be performing and also teaching some traditional dance.
Mhm.
Viviana and her crew will be there. Yes, I'm so happy.
Can miss
There'll
it.
be
Mhm.
you so you'll be doing
Yeah, we'll
pasta
do the
making,
pasta making. We'll entertain the children with story time. Anything
some
new that,
language.
language. Yes, we'll have a funny little gig with the language.
Yeah, I
We
can't
can't
wait to
spoil
see.
it because
Right.
just
We'll,
how to be fluent, how to speak Italian without saying a word. So that will have to come out to become fluent in
right.
Italian, to speak.
Right. To get a well-rounded language education. So yeah, so we have so many fun things going on. Like I
And
said, we'll be
Valozzi is also, as far as the food is concerned, Valozzi is it's a big
exactly. They do an
corner.
amazing job every year to put out a spread of food, always, supporting us. Velazzi's has been a great sponsor for us over the years and doing incredible food with not only with fig food, different ideas for creating different dishes with figs, but also other various food. I mean, it's a lovely spread, let's say. And then Chef Josiah Henry will be doing a cooking demonstration for us. And we'll also have wine. Of course, we have to have wine at our event. We have our wine sponsor, Papa Joe's Wine Cellar from Zillionople.
Mhm.
They'll be there helping us do a winemaking demo, old school winemaking demonstration.
Mhm.
And another sponsor, Sam Patty of La Primo Espresso, has been a great sponsor of the project.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it's a lot of fun. We're going to be doing not only the olive curing and winemaking and other cooking demonstrations. We're going to be teaching Scopa, an Italian
Mhm.
card game, which
That's so cool.
Viviana, thank goodness, has been teaching throughout Pittsburgh. We now have some proficient Scopa players
Yep.
in Pittsburgh because of Viviana and her great lessons. So we're going to be teaching that. And Mora.
Mhm.
Mora is a game that, if anybody remembers, grew up way back when as an Italian American, they probably remember this hand game that
Mhm.
could get very loud and boisterous. So we will be teaching that, or at least we'll be demonstrating it. And it's almost theater.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's so much going on. It's really, we have a fig tasting competition. If you're a fig grower, bring
Mhm.
your best figs, a couple of your best figs, and you can enter our fig tasting
Awesome.
competition. Hal
Mhm.
Klein of the Post Gazette will be our judge. Um, what else? Oh, we'll have our Ask the Expert for fig grower. We'll have Michele and Nicola there, and just, real Italian fig growers that have been doing it for their whole life. And they'll be able to answer your questions, maybe doing some pruning demos. Lots going on. And one thing I'm really excited about is
Mhm.
we're going to have a silent auction, but the first time fig trees from our legacy fig tree collection will be available to the public. We have an incredible collection of fig trees collected from not only the Pittsburgh area, but across the country, and with the stories that go with these fig trees, where they came
Mhm.
from, their immigration story, and the whole history. So it really is, there are really special trees that I'm excited will be available during Fig Fest.
Okay, so yes, we'll definitely have more information about the fest. We really would like to see old friends, new friends of all ages, because again, especially with the little ones, if you get them engaged at a very young age, as Mary was, I was, we're spreading the seeds. No pun intended.
Exactly. Exactly. Plant the seed while they're young.
Yes, so now I have a couple of kind of, I hope, cute questions for you. Okay. So the first one is actually because we talk about very experienced garden growers. So have you ever had a garden disaster or your family that eventually became a funny story that you guys always mentioned, or maybe any of your gardening friends might have told you about their garden disaster?
Oh boy, a gardening disaster. Just I can't think of a gardening. I mean, there's a lot of disasters when you have a garden. That's just part of the thing. You know, some things work, some things don't, some things you hope, you know, you plan for and you hope for, and no matter what, it just doesn't. But but the but when you say a funny thing, I always think of my grandfather calling somebody, me or one of my brothers, a kugutz.
Kukuts.
Kugutz, you're kugutz. Yeah, that was what he liked to
Yes,
lovingly call
yes,
us.
yeah,
We're
absolutely.
kugutz. Yeah.
So let's see. What is maybe the most Italian thing you have ever seen someone do in a garden? Like, for instance, when I was in Italy, something impressed me how they pick prickly pears that have this little handmade tool. It is stick with, it looks like a can, and they twist it and
Yeah.
they're able to pull out. So have you seen any other contraptions that maybe your experienced gardeners made? They said, wow, this is genius.
Oh, there are so many ingenious. I mean, that's part of the whole beauty of these gardens that, you know, ingenuity. They come up with something, they reuse, repurpose things for all kinds of reasons. There lots of those cans that they attach to a stick, maybe an old coffee can attached to a stick as a pear picker. I have a one of those on my Instagram. An example of a gentleman in Chicago picking figs with a can on the end of a stick, and sometimes a nail into a pole, just an old board pole that they would get the fig branch down with to reach the fig. Just all kinds of you know, they don't run out to Home Depot to buy something already made. It's whatever they have on hand, they'll use. They'll come up with a solution of a problem they have in the garden with something on hand, and very ingenious.
Okay. So if you could send one plant to outer space to represent Italian heritage, what would it be and why?
Well, but that's actually a tough one for me because it would either be the tomato, right? Right? Or the fig. You know, that's one it's a tough one. I know for I guess in general people would recognize that the tomato, but certainly for people who grew up with a fig tradition, that the fig would be near and dear, most near and dear to their heart.
Okay, so the last one of these kind of very unique questions. If your garden could talk, what would it say about you?
Oh, I love that because everybody's garden says a lot about them. You know, their personality comes out in the garden, and I think my garden would say, actually, like my grandfather used to say, slow down, take your time. You know, you don't have to do everything at once. That's sort of my personality, and that's what comes out in my garden, and what my grandfather actually a lesson that when I'm running around trying to do a million things at once, he's like, slow down, take your time. The garden, you know, it will be there,
Yes,
slow and
wonderful.
steady.
Go ahead, Steady. Well, Mary, this has been a truly pleasant conversation, at least for me. I'm sure it will be also for all the listeners. We know that there are a lot of people that indeed are growing their gardens. So you know, especially if you have heritage seeds, or I don't know if you have a different name for it. I'm sure Mary would want to hear from you because of our project trying to cataloging. We're actually going to have in a couple of weeks an expert, is an Italian historian who has been studying, and she's not just an historian, but she's also the title escapes me, the word now, but she's been studying different species of plants and fruits in paintings from the 16 and 1700s to then research the varieties and see what the diet was like. Are these seeds still available? Have they been contaminated? So she also has a huge database of her studies and discoveries. I think the two of you at some point should get
Absolutely.
in
Yes, I'd
touch.
love to meet her.
Anything else that we should be mentioning before we go into closing? Um,
Just come out to Fig Fest, have some fun with us.
Meet Mary
And
in person if you haven't.
yes, yes, I'll be there. I'd love to meet everybody. I'd love to talk Italian culture, talk figs with you. Just yeah, it's a fun day. So I'd love to see you.
Wonderful. So, Mary, unfortunately, our time together today is up. Il Big Ben ha detto stop, and it's time for us to say arrivederci e alla prossima. We want to thank you for tuning in into the program. And if you have any questions or comments, or if you have any topics you would like us to address, please contact us at italianradiohour@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And remember, if you or any of your family and friends have missed a prior episode or would like to listen to this episode again, please subscribe to the Italian Radio Hour on YouTube or where you catch your favorite podcasts. And don't forget to share because sharing is caring. So I would like to thank again Mary Menniti, invite all of you all at Fig Fest. You'll get information on how to secure your tickets. We want to thank our sponsor Istituto Mondo Italiano and La Prima Espresso. E until next time, alla prossima. Ciao ciao. See you at Fig Fest.